Duties of priests and Levites. The Lord said to Aaron, You, your sons, and the Levites must suffer the consequences of any guilt connected with serving in the tent of my presence. But only you and your sons will suffer the consequences of service in the priesthood. Bring in your relatives, the tribe of Levi, to work with you and help you while you and your sons are serving at the tent. They are to fulfill their duties to you and their responsibilities for the tent, but they must not have any contact with sacred objects in the holy place or with the altar. If they do, both they and you will be put to death. They are to work with you and fulfill their responsibilities for all the service in the tent, but no unqualified person may work with you. You and your sons alone must fulfill the responsibilities for the holy place and the altar, so that my anger will not again break out against the people of Israel. I am the one who has chosen your relatives, the Levites, from among the Israelites as a gift to you. They are dedicated to me so that they can carry out their duties in the tent, but you and your sons alone shall fulfill all the responsibilities of the priesthood that concern the altar and what is in the most holy place. These things are your responsibility, but because I have given you the gift of the priesthood, any unqualified person who comes near the sacred objects shall be put to death. The share of the priests. The Lord said to Aaron, Remember that I am giving you all the special contributions made to me that are not burnt as sacrifices. I am giving them to you and to your descendants as the part assigned to you forever. Of the most sacred offerings not burnt on the altar, the following belong to you: the grain offerings, the sin offerings, and the repayment offerings. Everything that is presented to me as a sacred offering belongs to you and your sons. You must eat these things in the holy place, and only males may eat them. Consider them holy. In addition, any other special contributions that the Israelites present to me shall be yours. I am giving them to you, your sons and your daughters, for all time to come. Every member of your family who is ritually clean may eat them. I am giving you all the best of the first produce, which the Israelites give me each year. Olive oil, wine, and corn, it all belongs to you. Every member of your family who is ritually clean may eat it. Everything in Israel that has been unconditionally dedicated to me belongs to you. Every firstborn child or animal that the Israelites present to me belongs to you, but you must accept payment to buy back every firstborn child, and must also accept payment for every firstborn animal that is ritually unclean. Children shall be brought back at the age of 1 month for the fixed price of 5 pieces of silver, according to the official standard. But the firstborn of cows, sheep, and goats are not to be bought back. They belong completely to me and are to be sacrificed. Throw their blood against the altar and burn their fat as a fat food offering, a smell pleasing to me. The meat from them belongs to you, like the breast and the right hind leg of the special offering. I am giving to you, to your sons, and to your daughters for all time to come. All the special contributions which the Israelites present to me, this is an unbreakable covenant that I have made with you and your descendants. The Lord said to Aaron, You will not receive any property that can be inherited, and no part of the land of Israel will be assigned to you. I, the Lord, am all you need. The share of the Levites. The Lord said, I have given to the Levites every tithe that the people of Israel present to me. This is a payment for their service in taking care of the tent of my presence. The other Israelites must no longer approach the tent, and in this way bring on themselves the penalty of death. From now on, only the Levites will take care of the tent and bear the full responsibility for it. This is a permanent rule that applies also to your descendants. The Levites shall have no permanent property in Israel, because I have given to them as their possession the tithe which the Israelites present to me as a special contribution. That is why I told them that they would have no permanent property in Israel. The Levites' tithe. The Lord commanded Moses to say to the Levites, when you receive from the Israelites the tithe that the Lord gives you as your possession, you must present a tenth of it as a special contribution to the Lord. This special contribution will be considered as equivalent of the offering which the farmer makes of new corn and new wine. In this way you also present the special contribution that belongs to the Lord. From all the tithes which you receive from the Israelites, you are to give this special contribution to the Lord to Aaron the priest. Give it from the best that you receive. When you have presented the best part, you may keep the rest, just as the farmer keeps what is left after he makes his offering. You and your families may eat the rest anywhere, because it is your wages for your service in the tent. You will not become guilty when you eat it, as long as you have presented the best of it to the Lord. But be sure not to profane the sacred gifts of the Israelites by eating any of the gifts before the best part is offered. If you do, you will be put to death. Ashes of the red cow. The Lord commanded Moses and Aaron to give the Israelites the following regulations. Bring to Moses and Aaron a red cow, which has no defects and which has never been put to work, and they will give it to Eleazar the priest. It is to be taken outside the camp and killed in his presence. Then Eleazar is to take some of its blood and with his finger sprinkle it 7 times in the direction of the tent. The whole animal, including skin, meat, blood, and intestines, is to be burnt in the presence of the priest. Then he is to take some cedar wood, a sprig of hyssop, and a red cord, and throw them into the fire. After that he is to wash his clothes and pour water over himself, and then he may enter the camp, but he remains ritually unclean until evening. The man who burnt the cow must also wash his clothes and pour water over himself, but he also remains unclean until evening. Then a man who is ritually clean is to collect the ashes of the cow and put them in a ritually clean place outside the camp, where they are to be kept for the Israelite community to use in preparing the water for removing ritually uncleanliness. This ritual is performed to remove sin. The man who collected the ashes must wash his clothes, but he remains unclean until evening. This regulation is valid for all time to come, both for the Israelites and for the foreigners living among them. Contact with a corpse. Whoever touches a corpse is ritually unclean for 7 days. He must purify himself with the water for purification on the 3rd day and on the seventh day, and then he will be clean. But if he does not purify himself on both the third and the seventh day, he will not be clean. Whoever touches a corpse and does not purify himself remains unclean, because for water purification has not been thrown over him. He defiles the Lord's tent, and he will no longer be considered one of God's people. If someone dies in a tent, anyone who is in the tent at the time of death or who enters it becomes ritually unclean for 7 days. Every jar and pot in the tent that has no lid on it always becomes unclean. If someone touches a person who has been killed or has died a natural death out of doors, or if someone touches a human bone or a grave, he becomes unclean for 7 days. To remove the uncleanliness, some ashes from the red cow which was burnt to remove sin shall be taken and put in a pot, and fresh water added. In that case, someone who is ritually clean is to take a sprig of hyssop, dip it in the water, and sprinkle the tent, everything in it, and the people who were there. In the second case, someone who is ritually clean is to sprinkle the water on the man who had touched the human bone or the dead body or the grave. On the third day and on the seventh day, the person who is ritually clean is to sprinkle the water on the unclean person. On the seventh day, he is to purify the man who, after washing his clothes and pouring water all over him, becomes ritually clean. At sunset, anyone who has become ritually unclean and does not purify himself remains unclean, because the water for purification has not been thrown over him. He defiles the Lord's tent and will no longer be considered one of God's people. You are to observe this rule for all time to come. The person who sprinkles the water for purification must also wash his clothes. Anyone who touches the water remains ritually unclean until evening. Whatever an unclean person touches is unclean, and anyone else who touches it remains unclean until evening. At Kadesh, in the first month of the whole community of Israel came to the wilderness of Zin and camped at Kadesh. There Miriam died and was buried. There was no water where they camped, so the people gathered round Moses and Aaron and complained, "It would have been better if we had died in front of the Lord's tent along with our fellow Israelites. Why have you brought us out into this wilderness just so that we can die here with our animals? Why did you bring us out of Egypt into this miserable place where nothing will grow? There is no corn, no figs, no grapes, no pomegranates. There is not even any water to drink." Moses and Aaron moved away from the people and stood at the entrance of the tent. They bowed down with their faces to the ground, and the dazzling light of the Lord's presence appeared to them. The Lord said to Moses, "Take the stick that is in front of the covenant box, and then you and Aaron assemble the whole community. There in front of them, all speak to that rock over there, and water will gush out of it. In this way, you will bring water out of the rock for the people, for them and the animals to drink." Moses went and got the stick, as the Lord had commanded. He and Aaron assembled the whole community in front of the rock. And Moses said, "Listen, you rebels, do you have to get water out of this rock for you?" Then Moses raised the stick and struck the rock twice with it, and a great stream of water gushed out, and all the people and animals drank. But the Lord reprimanded Moses and Aaron. He said, "Because you did not have enough faith to acknowledge my holy power before the people of Israel, you will not lead them into that land I promised to give them." This happened at Meribah, where the people of Israel complained against the Lord, and where he showed them that he was holy. The king of Edom refuses to let Israel pass. Moses sent messengers from Kadesh to the king of Edom. They said, "This message is from your kinsmen, the tribes of Israel. You know the hardships we have suffered, how our ancestors went to Egypt, where we killed many years. The Egyptians ill-treated our ancestors and us, and we cried to the Lord for help. He heard our cry and sent an angel who led us out of Egypt. Now we are at the Kadesh, a town at the border of your territory. Please permit us to pass through your land. We and our cattle will not leave the road or go into the fields or vineyards, and we will not drink from your wells. We will stay on the main road until we are out of your territory." But the Edomites answered, "We refuse to let you pass through our country. If you try, we will march out and attack you." The people of Israel said, "We will stay on the main road, and if we or our animals drink any of your water, we will pay for it. All we want is to pass through." The Edomites repeated, "We refuse," and they marched out with a powerful army to attack the people of Israel. Because the Edomites would not let the Israelites pass through their territory, the Israelites turned and went another way. The death of Aaron. The whole community of Israel left Kadesh and arrived at Mount Hor on the border of Edom. There the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Aaron is not going to enter the land which I promised to give to Israel. He is going to die because the two of you rebelled against my command at Meribah. Take Aaron and his son Eleazar up Mount Hor, and there remove Aaron's priestly robes and put them on Eleazar. Aaron is going to die there." Moses did what the Lord had commanded. They went up Mount Hor in the sight of the whole community, and Moses removed Aaron's priestly robes and put them on Eleazar. There on the top of the mountain, Aaron died, and Moses and Eleazar came back down. The whole community learned that Aaron had died, and they all mourned for him for 30 days. Victory over the Canaanites. When the Canaanite king of Arad in the southern part of Canaan heard that the Israelites were coming by the way of Atharim, he attacked them and captured some of them. Then the Israelites made a vow to the Lord, "If you will let us conquer these people, we will unconditionally dedicate them and their cities to you and will destroy them." The Lord heard them and helped them to conquer the Canaanites. So the Israelites completely destroyed them and their cities, and named the place Hormah, the snake made of bronze. The Israelites left Mount Hor by the road that leads to the Gulf of Aqaba in order to go round the territory of Edom. But on the way, the people lost their patience and spoke against God and Moses. They complained, "Why did you bring us out of Egypt to die in this desert, where there is no food or water? We can't stand any more of this miserable food." Then the Lord sent poisonous snakes among the people, and many Israelites were bitten and died. The people came to Moses and said, "We sinned when we spoke against the Lord and against you. Now pray to the Lord to take these snakes away." So Moses prayed for the people. Then the Lord told Moses to make a metal snake and put it in on a pole, so that anyone who was bitten could look at it and be healed. So Moses made a bronze snake and put it on a pole. Anyone who was bitten would look at the bronze snake and be healed. From Mount Hor to the valley of the Moabites, the Israelites moved on and camped at Oboth. After leaving their place, they camped at the ruins of Abarim in the wilderness against the Moabite territory. Then they camped in the valley of Zered. From there they moved again and camped on the north side of the river Arnon in the wilderness which extends into Amorite territory. The Arnon was the border between the Moabites and the Amorites. That is why the book of the Lord's battles speaks of the town of Wahib in the area of Saphah and the valleys, the river Arnon and the slope of the valleys that extended to the town of Ar and towards the border of Moab. From there they went on to a place called Wells, where the Lord said to Moses, "Bring the people together, and I will give them water." At that time the people of Israel sang the song, "Wells, produce your water, and we will greet it with a song." The well dug by princes and by leaders of the people, dug with a royal scepter and with their sticks. They moved from the wilderness to Mattanah, and from there they went to Nahaliel, and from Nahaliel to Bamoth, and from Bamoth to the valley in the territory of the Moabites, below the town of the Mount Pisgah, looking out over the desert. Victory over King Sihon and King Og. Then the people of Israel sent messengers to the Amorite king Sihon to say, "Let us pass through your land. We and our cattle will not leave the road and go into your fields or vineyards, and we will not drink from water from your wells, and we will stay on the main road until we are out of your territory." But Sihon would not permit the people of Israel to pass through the territory. He gathered his army and went out to Jahaz in the wilderness and attacked the Israelites. But the Israelites killed many of the enemy in battle and occupied their land from the river Arnon north to the Jabbok, that is, to the Ammonites. Because the Ammonite border was strongly defended, so the people of Israel captured all the Amorite cities, including Heshbon and all the surrounding towns, and settled in them. Heshbon was the capital city of the Amorite king Sihon. who had fought against the former king of Moab, and had captured all his land as far as the river Arnon. That is why the poets sing, "Come to Heshbon, to King Sihon's city. We want to see it rebuilt and restored." Once from this city of Heshbon, Sihon's army went forth like fire. It destroyed the city of Ar in Moab and devoured the hills of the upper Arnon. How terrible for you, people of Moab! You worshippers of Chemosh are brought to ruin. Your God let the men become refugees, and the women became captives of the Amorite king. But now their descendants are destroyed, all the way from Heshbon to Dibon, from Nashim to Nophah near Medeba. So the people of Israel settled in the territory of the Amorites, and Moses sent men to find the best way to attack the city of Jazer. The Israelites captured it and its surrounding towns and drove out the Amorites living there. Then the Israelites turned and took the road to Bashan, and the king Og of Bashan marched out with his army to attack them at Adri. The Lord said to Moses, "Do not be afraid of him. I will give you victory over him, all his people and his land. Do to him what you did to Sihon, the Amorite king, who ruled at Heshbon." So the Israelites killed Og, his sons, and all his people, leaving no survivors, and then they occupied his land.